Greetings, America. Mr. Sports Travel on the road in the Bay State, the state of Massachusetts. It's the Massachusetts video. This basketball needs some air, but you're going to get some information. Before I tell you where is Mr. Sports Travel, I want you to take the $50 pledge. Please donate $50 today to OperationFirstResponse.org. That's OperationFirstResponse.org. Thank you so much for those of you who have already donated. OperationFirstResponse.org, 4-star rating from Cherry Navigator. It's been around since 2004. They've helped 20,000 plus of our service members get back on their feet, especially when the VA falls to the cracks. Thank you for your donations. And I'm on the road in the American Flagmobile supporting this great organization. Now, where is Mr. Sports Travel in the Bay State? Well, of course, I am in the city of Springfield, Mass, for it is here that the great game of basketball, hoop, hoop, hoop it up, Dr. James Naismith, he came up with this great game of basketball, which Mr. Sports Travel has been to every single Division I venue in both the men's and the women's side. The women have about 20 different venues than the men. We're talking about nearly 370 venues in total. Plus he's been to all the NBA arenas and tons of high schools, probably in about 35 to 40 states. Basketball, a great game. Of course, Mr. Sports Travel never played basketball. He was a hockey player in the winter. That doesn't mean he doesn't love going to basketball and watching basketball and occasionally playing some basketball. Well, at Springfield College, here in Springfield, Massachusetts, Dr. James Naismith came up with a great game of basketball. In fact, the original gym where they played the first game is still on the campus of Springfield College. Not a gym anymore, but it's still there. The building is still there. It's a great, great campus to visit. In fact, they have a museum there. In addition to this museum, which I'll talk about in a minute, there's a great museum on the campus of Springfield College here in Springfield. They also have a great basketball tournament every holiday season at Blake Arena on the campus of Springfield College. Now, let's talk about the Basketball Hall of Fame before I give you my first sporting event ever in Massachusetts, my most recent sporting event, and my favorite. Of course, I'll do that with each of these videos. We're celebrating each of the 50 states, being that this is my 50th birthday year. We got the 50 states plus the District of Columbia doing a celebration. So this is the Massachusetts video. So, this Basketball Hall of Fame, the noise that you're hearing, by the way, that is Interstate 91, which connects Springfield, Massachusetts with Hartford. And who grew up in Hartford? Mr. Sports Travel. Now, the other reason I chose this location is, in addition to the history of basketball in Springfield, and this being home of the Basketball Hall of Fame, so all the greats are here. Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Elgin Baylor, on and on and on down the line. From the old guys like Dr. James Naismith, the original founder of the game, to the college greats, the pro greats, international greats, they're all here at the Basketball Hall of Fame. You can see a good theme, right? A huge basketball behind me. And you can see even on I-91, good marketing, that little pie in the sky there with the basketball. And of course, Mr. Sports Travel with the basketball theme. Where the Globetrotters are here. So, that's why I chose this location. But I also chose Springfield because my first ever sporting event in the city of Springfield, Massachusetts, not a basketball game, was a hockey game. In fact, it was the first professional sporting event I ever saw. And the reason for that is the old New England Whalers, Hartford Whalers, which became the Hartford Whalers, the old New England Whalers played at the Hartford Civic Center. However, the roof collapsed and they had to fix the roof. And so while that happened, Mr. Sports Travel saw his first ever sporting event with his late father, his inspiration. They got into sports travel just up the road here in downtown Springfield at what was then, I believe, was called the Civic Center. Now it's called the Mass Mutual Center, obviously named after a bank. But that was my first ever sporting event, so that was the other reason why I wanted to choose Springfield, Mass as the location of this video. Now you might be asking, Mr. Sports Travel, this is a museum. Are there games played in here? There can't be games. No, actually there are games played here. There's a court inside the Hall of Fame where they have had high school tournaments. It's a little cracker box. You just roll in some bleachers on four sides. So, in keeping with the theme, I'm in front of a sporting event. This does host basketball games, usually tournaments, something unique. And it's a cool little court because basically there's this three-story rotunda. We have all the plaques of all the Hall of Famers, all the basketball Hall of Famers, the players, the coaches, etc. And at the bottom, you have a court. Now, you can play. If you get your ticket to the Hall of Fame, you can play basketball, shoot some hoops, do one-on-one, do some three-on-three with your friends, family members, while you're enjoying the museum. But yeah, there have been games played here, so keep that in mind. But again, the reason I chose this location, my first ever sporting event, was in Springfield, Mass, and it's still there, the Springfield Civic Center. Now, you may be asking, Mr. Sports Travel, why didn't you just shoot your video there? Because it's downtown and it's a cracker box. Like, you think the noise is bad here, how about downtown? And the other issue is, how can I park my car and get a picture of the beautiful American flag mobile and still talk about the hockey? So logistically, that's why I didn't shoot the hockey. It's really like a small little arena. It hasn't changed much. It's a great venue, by the way. They have an American Hockey League team there, a minor league team, and then American International College, which plays Division I hockey, also has used that arena. So I chose this venue also because when you think of Springfield, you think of basketball. And it all started with Dr. James Naismith at Springfield College. And again, they have a great museum there. So, told you about my first sporting event in the great state of Massachusetts. How about my most recent sporting event? Well, my most recent was on this road trip where, from a technical standpoint, I decided to go to UMass Lowell. They have two venues for men's basketball with UMass Lowell. One's on campus, and one's downtown called the Tsongas Center. So to kind of make sure I literally saw every single Division I men's and basketball venue on campus, off campus, I went to UMass Lowell. That was my most recent visit on this trip. I kind of celebrated the milestone when I was at Tarleton State, and that was a week earlier. But just to kind of cover my tracks, I went to UMass Lowell. So that I could say I literally have been everywhere, man. So that was my most recent visit on this trip, UMass Lowell, which is in the American East Conference. Mr. Sports Travel, what about your favorite memory to the Bay State? This is a tough one because my late father took me to New England Whaler games. And then obviously they rebuilt the Civic Center. And when they rebuilt the Civic Center, the Whalers had already gone into the NHL. So some Whaler games were here as well before the new Civic Center opened with the new roof. Clearly that's my favorite. I mean, this whole road trip stuff and the life I chose to lead, I got married, I got kids. I mean, I've been sports traveling for 25 years, been more than 35 countries, 6 continents. You name the sport, I've been there. So I would say, yeah, going with my dad to these games was the most memorable. I don't remember a specific game, although one thing I do remember last time I came here was there's a plaque in the arena, at the Springfield Arena downtown, for Eddie Shore, old-time hockey Eddie Shore, the real Eddie Shore, not just from the slap shot, real-time hockey Eddie Shore area that we're talking about. So I would say that is my favorite. Now, on a separate category, right, because that's, of course, it's going to be my favorite. My dad got me into school here. My dad served in the Air Force, for those who don't know, and that's one of the reasons I chose to do the American flag car and have this moving billboard and then Operation First Response approaching that. I approached that great organization. So I would say, besides the games, going up here, going to see the hockey, I would say probably my favorite memory, second memory, is a family memory too. I was on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, when the Red Sox won the World Series in 2004. Being a Red Sox fan, that was a big deal. So, my grandmother, at the time, she died 4 years later, my grandmother was 88 at the time. She said, Joey, Joey, Joey! My family members call me Joey. I want you to wake me up if the Red Sox win. She was 88 years old, she wasn't delegated. And the game was in St. Louis, it was game 4, the Red Sox won 3 games to none, and of course the Red Sox swept the Cardinals to win the first time since 1918 the World Series. So I woke my grandmother up, and there's a picture of me and my grandmother. We had champagne together. It was wonderful. Now the non-family one. I would say my favorite memory that isn't related to my dad and my grandma in Massachusetts was the magical year for the Red Sox in 2018. Of course, the Red Sox would go on to win the World Series again in 2018. Red Sox are on a roll, baby, right? They've won it multiple times since 2004 included. 2018. What you got to say there, Yankee fan? That's right. You won in 09. I haven't heard you any since. So, the Red Sox won in 2018, and I was at the Fenway Park, Fenway NOPAC, as we call it, for a gorgeous Saturday afternoon against the Toronto Blue Jays. I believe it was July 14th, 2018, and it was gorgeous. And Xander Bogaerts hit a walk-off homer to win the game for the Red Sox, and it was awesome. Beautiful day, great ending. So, not including my dad, not including my grandmother, that was probably my favorite event here in the Bay State. So, hope you've enjoyed this video on the road for OperationFirstResponse.org. It's been the Massachusetts video, my first visit to the state, my most recent and my favorite. Here we are, Basketball Hall of Fame. Yes, there is a gym in here. Yes, games are played here. Yes, you can shoot hoops on this gym, while you're also seeing the museum right off of Interstate 91. Come visit my hometown of Hartford, Connecticut. Come up here and see the Basketball Hall of Fame. And while you're here, go see the hockey, the same arena where I saw my first hockey game. It's still there, an AHL team. Follow me on social media at mrsportstravel.com. That's at mrsportstravel.com. Thanks for watching. Look for my other videos. Become my friend on YouTube. Talk to you later, folks. See you later. Bye-bye.